Alibaba's Qwen 3 Next new frontier model just came out, and that is absolutely amazing. They did the impossible, and this is a new paradigm for AI. This is a shift from huge models to smaller models that are super efficient and super cheap to train. What they've done is pretty much amazing. It's insane, and I'm going to cover it today, and I will also test out the model for you. Stay around, this is going to be a quite long video that is going to show you the state-of-the-art architecture that is going to push AI forward in 2025 and probably early 2026. So they introduce a model that has 80 billion parameters in total, but only 3 billion active parameters. This means that it's a super efficient 80 billion parameters nowadays. It's not super large, but 3 billion active parameters is just insane. They were able to go 10 cheaper training compared to their 32 billion parameter model, 10x faster inference than Qwen 3 32 billion. This is insane, and the benefits become pretty insane, especially at scale. So they've got a hybrid architecture that moves a little bit away from typical transformers. They use gated delta-net and gated attention. That allows them to have very good speed and recall precision. So this is a very sparse mixture of experts. This means that it has a loads of experts and it uses only a small amount of them. It does multi-token prediction, which allows them to have very fast decoding, meaning inference, and it beats Qwen 3 32 billion in performance and also rivals 235 billion in reasoning and long context, a model that is much larger and a lot slower. They release their instruct version and their thinking version. The thinking version actually outperforms Gemini 2.5 last thinking. You can test it out on Qwen chat. You can find it here, Qwen 3 Next, and you can select thinking and non-thinking. You can select the thinking budget, which goes up to 82,000 tokens. So let's see the specifics. This is how the architecture looks. I'm not going to go in depth, into it. It is what it is. If you have knowledge, you could understand it, but I'm going to go to the results. And already I have said here, man, this is insane. So this is the pre-training efficiency and inference speed. So in terms of training cost, it costed just 10% of what Qwen 3 32 billion costed. It has boosted performance in MMLU accuracy, and compared to their 30 billion, 3 billion parameter model, it's cheaper to train, even though in general it's bigger, and it's a lot more capable. On prefill throughput, which means the input, it's able to be a lot more efficient than Qwen 3 32 billion and quite a lot cheaper than their small model. Also on decode throughput, it's very much faster, 10 times faster than 32 billion and about 3 times faster than the 3 billion that they previously had. And here you can see how the scaling goes. As the sequence length, meaning the context, becomes bigger, this model becomes a lot faster, while their previous models became a lot slower. You can see here Qwen 3 30 billion with 3 billion active parameters, it starts to fall off. In terms of decoding, it has this curve here which goes up and up and up. Pretty insane. This is absolutely insane. But let's talk actual performance. We can see a comparison versus the previous models. This is the model we are looking at, Qwen 3 Next, and it's a mixture of expert. So it has 3 billion active parameters. Usually, the most amount of intelligence is hidden on the active parameters, and this model is a lot more capable than their previous 3 billion active parameter model. However, the total parameters are a lot boosted. This means that they can boost the total parameters while keeping the active parameters low, and they get a lot of a better performance while having considerably faster speed and less training cost. So in terms of everything, this is better. Cheaper, faster, and smarter. Insane. And with only 3 billion active parameters, it's very close to their bigger model, which has 305 billion parameters in total and 22 billion active parameters. This is incredible. And here it is what we care most about, which is math, STEM, and coding tasks. This is where these models are going to be used to change the world, and it's very, very capable. A considerable jump in performance and efficiency. Let's move to the next tab because we have so many benchmarks to see. Here we can see it on specific benchmarks that are one of the most used ones. The red line is what we care about, and it does a considerable jump in performance, and it matches their bigger model. This is the instruct version that is, brought forward for us to use. This is very, very nice. On long context, it does a very good job. On small context, it's good. On longer context, it's still quite good. Not perfect, but still very, very capable, and a lot more capable than their previous small model. This is the thinking performance, where we see it compared with the previous models they had in the same parameter, cost. And here is Gemini 2.5 Plus thinking, and we see a very big jump in performance compared to fast thinking. We see also jump in performance versus their previous small model. So this is a very fast model, very capable with very small amount of active parameters. This is beautiful to see. And we can test it out right now on Qwen chat. I'm not going to go overkill with it because already this video is quite long. I'm going to start by creating a website using the thinking version, and then I'm going to go and test out the non-thinking version so we can see how it performs. This is the typical query that I use to create a transformer teaching web page. So you know the examples and the results from the previous videos. If you've not watched me benchmarking other models, you can go back and check that out. But what we care about mostly here is coding. And right now I want to check which models are capable of creating beautiful websites, simple games, and let's see what this model can bring forward as a response. Again, with only 3 billion active parameters, this model will be super fast for inference and super cheap to actually use. And yes, indeed, that's what we're seeing. This model is going super, super fast. I think actually this model you could use for 1 million tokens with less than $1. Maybe even $1 per million token output is too costly for it. And let's not forget that there are so many companies that can optimize over it, make it faster, quantize it, make it better. This will be an open source release, so you will get the weights of the models inside of a Hugging Face, which is pretty amazing, I gotta say. This is a very important step in the right direction. Lowering the pre-training cost, improving the speed of these models, improving their intelligence, while not significantly, pushing up the costs. So for some reason, they probably have not created this web dev version to work nicely. We can see that obviously we cannot see a preview. So I'm just going to copy the code and go to LiveWeave. So let's open up LiveWeave to see what the model has spit out. Of course, this is a very new release. It just came out, so I don't expect to be perfect. So this is the website. This is the response. We can see all of these things here. This is the architecture diagram. This is some code that it spit out, an evolution timeline, and real-world applications. So not an insane website, not a bad website. I gotta say this, for the size it has and the cost that it has associated with it, seems like a very, very good result. Now, I'm going to try the non-thinking version. So I'm going to open this up, again select web dev and run the prompt again. The good part is that at least on the non-thinking version, it seems to be working. Like I see the model being capable to write code in the designed area. Hopefully the developers of Qwen can fix the UI of the website. And I really hope that we will be able to see a preview natively inside the application. But let's see the response. But while we'll wait for that, I want to let you know that I have a very cheap AI course that teaches you coding assistance, that teaches you AI automations, generating images, videos, sound effects, as well as text-to-speech. So hopefully you are going to find this as a useful entry to AI. The cost is $20, single payment. This is hosted on Udemy, and every single month I put forward new material, updated material with even more amazing tools, more amazing stuff. So you can use this course as a way to keep up with AI. And you pay once and you get all of the updates completely for free. So check that out if you want so. It's down below in the description. And of course, you support the channel by buying this course. So the model is still writing stuff, which is pretty insane. Hopefully, we're going to see a response. And this is the response of the model. This is the academy. This is the website. This looks a lot like a presentation, which seems interesting. This is a lot interactive. And this is something that I have never seen from another model. This is very, very interesting. It has examples. It really tries to teach the person about the transformer model. And I find this super amazing. This is pretty incredible. Like this, in all honesty, something very, very special. I've never seen anything like that before. And this result, in my eyes, it's pretty insane. So I'm going to open up a new query. I don't want to waste your time. I want you to really go ahead and try this model. So we're going to create, using the thinking model, an interactive Pokemon Pokédex website. This is a request that this model from Qwen really was able in the past. The other models that Qwen has spit out, they were able to create one of the most amazing websites ever. Like, I felt that Qwen did a significant leap in performance versus the competition on this specific query. So let's see the responses so you get a sense of whether this model is for you or not. Again, you can use it for free on QwenChat.ai, and probably the API from OpenRouter and third-party providers are going to bring very cheap inference to pretty much everyone that wants to use this model. So stay tuned for that, because I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So right now, this model is costing about half a cent per million tokens of input and 6 cents for output price for the thinking version, and for the non-thinking version it's $2. This is on Alibaba Cloud. I have no idea if this is hosted also on some kind of other place. NVIDIA is also hosting this model, so you can use this chat interface inside NVIDIA to test that out. But in general, I think the prices from third-party providers will be a lot more aggressive. So stay around on OpenRouter to find, this version for a cheaper API price, because in all honesty, Alibaba is so costly. Like, you can find all of the models here for a lot cheaper price through OpenRouter and third-party providers. So this is too costly. I don't think it's really worth it at this point. With these prices, you could go for GPT-5 or Gemini 2.5 Plus for a lot cheaper. So we've got a response again. The model was not able to give us the response in a correct format, but that's fine. We got live with. Let's copy and paste that. And this is the Pokédex website. I gotta say, this is not great. This is not super nice. It's not bad, but I expected something better. So at this point, I just want to do a final request on the non-thinking model, and let's see if the non-thinking model is actually better than the thinking model, which would be pretty insane, I gotta say. Maybe they have not perfected the thinking model. Maybe it's not able to follow some kind of tools and instructions. I don't know. I don't really care. What I've seen on the previous request is that the base model without thinking does a perfect job, but let's see if that indeed is the pattern. So this is the response of the non-thinking model, and I gotta say it's a lot better. This feels a lot better, and you can check the search bar, it works. And I gotta say this is a lot better. And we can see here stats. Yeah, this works pretty much a lot greater than the previous model. It has page loading, multiple pages, looks nice, has animations. So I gotta say, the thinking model right now probably has some kind of issue. They're done some kind of mistake, but the non-thinking base model works very well. I gotta say, I've seen also better responses from the previous Qwen versions, but again, this was the bigger model, and this model seems quite a lot capable. I really love its responses. It's very useful, works very nicely, and yeah, looks very nice. I gotta say this is a very nice response. I really like it. So guys, I highly suggest that you give it a try, give it a check, and yeah, Qwen did the impossible once again. 10x faster model, scales hard, and has very little active parameters, Well done, kudos to them.